Hello, greetings to you all. I welcome you to today's session, and today we are looking at Biology Paper 2, 2024 internal. So that is question number 2. So figure 2.0 shows part of the human digestive system. So we have part of the human digestive system that we have there. Then we have some questions that follows, okay? And before we start by answering the question, I would like us to sample out the question by labeling and naming the parts that, of course, the question wants us to deal with, okay? So when you look at the diagram that we have there, so we have got this part there, so that is L. So this part, that is the liver there, okay? So when you look at the H, okay? So when you look at the H, that is the pancreas, okay? If you proceed to K, what is K? So K, that is the gallbladder. That is the gallbladder. So when you look at J, so J, that is large intestine, okay? That is large intestine. Then we have the last one. So the last one that we have down there, that is rectum. That is rectum. Okay. So when we have sampled it like that, then we can after now proceed to answer the questions that we have. So the first question is identify the parts labeled H and I in the figure. So identify the parts labeled H and I in the figure. So when you look at the figure that we have there, so part H, okay, part H, that is the pancreas, okay? And when we talk of the pancreas, so the pancreas, it's a gland, okay? It's a gland. It is also, of course, an organ that is just actually behind the stomach. As you can see the stomach, then we have got what? The pancreas. So the pancreas has got two main functions that it does. Number one, it helps with digestion by actually secreting or producing enzymes that helps with the digestion process. Enzymes such as amylase, such as lipase. And the other function for the pancreas, it also actually controls the sugar level inside the body, okay? So how does it do that? So it produces the hormones that are responsible for converting glucose to glycogen. And of course, glycogen converting it back to glucose. So that is the function for the pancreas. That's what it does, and that is the part that we are calling part H. So if you go to the other part, which is what? Part I. So if you got the question, part I, that is the rectum, okay? So the rectum, as you can see, so the large intestine starts from there, okay? Then it comes up to that part. So that is the rectum. So the rectum, that is actually the last part of the alimentary canal, or that is the last part of the large intestine. So what is the function? As you can see, that is the last part. Okay, now what is the main function of this rectum? So the rectum, number one, it is actually the temporal storage for stool before exit. Okay, so that is actually the rectum that we have there. So mean that question number A we have answered. If we quickly go to B, remember when answering the exam you have to be very quick and very sharp. Okay, so when you go to B, question number B is explain the functions of the parts labeled J and K in the figure. So when we go to part labeled J, okay, so our J part is there, which is, so our J part, which is the large intestine, okay, so the large intestine. So the large intestine, its main part, okay, it is to absorb, okay, do what? To absorb. So that is to absorb water from undigested food materials. To absorb water from undigested food what? Materials. If we look at the other parts that we have been taught, that is what? K. if we go to our diagram, the K that we have there, okay, it is a gallbladder. Okay, so that is gallbladder. What is the function of gallbladder? So this one is to store bile. It is to store bile produced by the liver. So it is to store bile produced by the liver. Okay, so we know that the gallbladder stores bile which has been produced by what? By the liver. Okay, so and we have to take note that this bile does not actually forever stay in the gallbladder. So of course it just keeps it for a temporal period of time and pushes it of course into the small intestine to go and emulsify the fats to help with the digestion of fats. So that is question A and question B. Okay, so mean that you have answered already 2 marks there, another 2 marks there. You have even seen how you are getting that distinction. So I'm going to erase, okay, to create space. Going to erase to create space. If we go to C, quickly, we are saying state 3 metabolic functions of the part labeled L in the figure. So if you look at the diagram, the part labeled L in the figure, that is the liver. Okay, now what is this metabolic function? So the metabolic function, the word metabolic, it's coming from the term metabolism. And when we talk of metabolism, we are talking of the sum total of chemical reactions that takes place inside the body of a living organism, or inside the body of a living cell. So now, when we look at that one, this metabolism function of the liver, number one, we can actually pick deamination. Okay, deamination. So deamination of what? Deamination of excess, okay, amino acids. Okay, so deamination of excess amino acid. So when we talk of this deamination of excess amino acid, what we are talking of, remember, we have got the term excess, meaning that this amino acid of course might not be needed inside what? The body. So meaning that if we talk of the deamination process, we are talking of this amino acid being converted into something that the body can excrete. So of course in brackets we can even put converting it. Okay, so converting it to urea. We know that urea is actually removed, okay, through urine. So that is number one that we can actually talk about. Then number two, we can pick detoxification. Okay, detoxification. So we know that it's coming from the term of course toxic substances. So now the liver detoxificate things, meaning that making them actually less harmful. Okay, so we can talk of detoxification. We are talking of converting, okay, toxic substances, okay, toxic substances, okay, into harmless, okay, substances. Toxic substances into harmless what? Substances. So for example, when we talk of alcohol, drugs, so each time somebody takes certain kind of drugs, alcohol, the liver will start of course to detoxificate to make sure that it is made less harmful, so that those things, they do not affect what? The body. Then also we can talk of, okay, sugar level regulation. Okay, we can talk of the sugar level regulation. Okay, the sugar level regulation. So the sugar level regulation, we are talking of the liver helps of course in what? Converting. Okay, so converting, we can talk of converting, so excess, okay, glucose to glycogen. Converting excess glucose to what? To glycogen. So we know that glycogen, it is actually the storage, okay? That is the storage form of glucose in what? In animals. Okay? So the liver will keep part of it. The other glycogen actually can be kept, of course, in muscle cells, and it can also be kept in fat depots. Okay, so converting excess glucose to glycogen, and the other way around, and the other way around. So meaning that we are also, of course, going to use a certain, of course, hormone which will convert glycogen back to what? To glucose. And those are the same hormones that I mentioned on the pancreas, which is of course the insulin and what? The glucagon. So meaning that we have got 1, 2, 3 points already. The 3 marks, we have it there. Okay? We have it there. If you look at D outline 2 effects of the elements of the part labeled J in the figure. So what are some of the effects when there are certain conditions that has actually affected the part labeled J? Okay, so part labeled J, that is actually the large what? Intestine. So on our D, we can actually talk of, okay, constipation. Okay, that is constipation. So constipation, that is of course we are talking of, okay, so having difficulties, okay, having difficulties, okay, having difficulties, okay, passing stool, having difficulties passing stool. Okay, so of course it's something that can be dealt with, it's something that is treatable, it's not a condition to worry about. Then also we can talk of inflammation. Okay, we can talk of inflammation. So inflammation, which is of course leads to serious abdominal pain, and of course we can even talk of anal bleeding. Okay, so inflammation, it leads to serious abdominal pain, and it can also lead to anal bleeding. Okay, just by mentioning of course constipation. Okay, so it actually leads to abdomen. Okay, so abdominal pain, okay, and anal, okay, anal pains. Okay, so abdominal pain and what? Anal pains and bleeding. Okay, so we have got that one there. So when you look at what we have there, meaning that we have actually answered question A up to D. Okay, so that is Biology Paper 2 2024 internal. So if you have got any question, of course, that you would love us to come and of course answer on this particular platform, so just feel free to inbox, feel free to write it in the comment section there. Just mention the year and the question number, then of course we will be glad to come on board. So before I actually end this feed, I would just like to say a very big thank you to Sharp Academy for sponsoring this actually session, and for sponsoring all these lessons that has been shared on this particular platform. And if you'd like to join our physical tuitions or online tuitions, please just check for the contact number in the comment section and reach us. So thank you so very much. I am your tutor, Kapoma Edward. Bye bye.